Okay, good evening to you all. It gives me the greatest personal pleasure to welcome our speaker this evening and to introduce our visiting professor, Jun Watanabe, who is teaching in our School of Architecture this spring term. Jun Watanabe was educated in architecture at the University of Tokyo before receiving a master's degree of architecture in urban design at Harvard Graduate School of Design. Prior to founding his current award-winning practice in 1990, Jun Watanabe and Associates, he had already worked in the offices of some of the most prominent and acclaimed architects of his and mine generation, Kenzo Tange, Moshe Safdie, Ian Pei, and Fumihiko Maki. So that's an impressive list. Professor Watanabe has also been equally dedicated to the academic world of architecture for 6 years, teaching architecture at the University of Texas in Austin, followed by 13 years as a professor of architecture at Chubu University, and then most recently as a visiting professor at other universities in Japan, and now here with us at CUHK. There is a saying that architectural works often resemble their architects and their personalities. I believe Louis Sullivan said this, but I couldn't quite Google search it. I might be missing a keyword. So I'll apply to whoever finds this exact quotation first. Right? But on this topic of buildings resembling their architects, well, let's consider, say, Richard Rogers. Outgoing personality, brightly colored shirts, and compare with his buildings with exposed structure and service ducts, typically in primary colors. Or Tadeo Ando, a former boxer in his youth, with its raw concrete boxes and hard-edged geometries. Or Zaha Hadid, very extroverted, expressive in personality, always wearing those flowing capes and collars. Now think about the expressive, free-flowing forms of her building designs. When considering the design works of Jun Watanabe, I think they're also very much like the architect himself, reflecting a refined balance of simplicity, elegance, integrity, honest expression, and gracious hospitality. His buildings are always thoughtfully considered, crisply geometrical, understated, yet bespeaking of lasting quality. It is an architecture that is quiet, but persuasive, with no need to shout to convey its important message. His work has unified clarity, yet respects the complexity and variety of modern life with remarkable sensitivity and spirit. From overall form to final detail, at every step, exceptional care and craft. His architecture is not of the moment, or trends, or styles, but about timeless, enduring values. What he has described as, quote, meaningfulness, end quote, or what I might identify as having less concern for what's first, but instead a profound commitment to what lasts. Tonight, we're all privileged to listen to and learn from Professor Watanabe, who will speak to us about his design methodology and practice. The title of his lecture is Making, the Matter of Building. Please join me to extend a very warm welcome to Professor Jun Watanabe.
Thank you so much for introducing me with such a nice word, Professor Chen. I am very honored to be here teaching you at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, thus presenting my work today. The topic is here on making, the matter of building. I have been interested in this topic for the past 2 decades. And particularly today, I am more interested to look at this topic carefully. Things themselves is a key notion behind this topic, what I'm describing. And this is a discussion about my distant standing from a personalized or expressionistic architecture. I am more inclined toward building rather than personalized expressionistic architecture. Mies van der Rohe, for instance, always use the word bauen in German. Bauen means building, and he intentionally used bauen only, that is building. And he never used the counterpart, that is Baukunst in German. And Baukunst to me is expressionistic, personalized architecture. He was very keen to that differentiation. I said 2 decades, and 20 years is a very long time already. And there was one important moment 20 years ago in Texas. That time, I was teaching at the University of Texas at Austin and spending 6 years. That was mid-1990. And my experience in Texas was a landscape. So Texas is a big country, and the countryside as an area is twice as large as my home country, Japan, and not much habitation by people. So this is one landscape near the state capital of Austin, and the first impression to me was a big sky, big land, and land without the sense of human beings. No farmland, nor residences. And especially in the western part of Texas, land becomes much more reductive in terms of the barren ambience over there because of the less rain and dry climate. I will talk about the artwork itself later, but this is a sky and land in Malpa, Texas. It's a western border town near state of New Mexico. You can sense, okay, this is a big sky and barren land, very dry climate, with dry climate. And to me, it was very impressive. And right after my hectic works in Tokyo, and that's a pretty much urban situation, and in the middle of the landscape, or in the middle of the nature, yes, I had to face to the nature, or landscape, or the Texas landscape. Yet, in a sense, I was facing to myself, in a sense. And the fundamental question to me that time was, who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I heading to? That fundamental question, right after the hectic working days in Tokyo, was something I had to kind of think very seriously about that. Such as Zen Buddhism, the expression is like this way. What was your original aspect before your father and your mother were born? I believe most of you here know Chinese original sentence. I can only pronounce that sentence in Japanese and just introduce the English translation. So that was the starting of my experience about the Texas landscape. But the second the other important encounter in Texas. That was a matter of construction with raw material. Now Donald Judd. This is Donald Judd's artwork in Malta, Texas. And Malta, in the old days, when Donald Judd set up his atelier in mid-1970, it was just a rural small town. But it became very famous in these days. Even Prada shop was constructed there because of the Malta became very important destination for those people who like modern art, like Donald Judd. Donald Judd here crystallized the way to contact with our everyday figurative world, as far as I understand. The image here, for instance, you could see his achievement. Here you see dull, shiny aluminum panel cladded box in the old warehouse. The other one on the left is a series of concrete frames, sideboard concrete frames. And the repetition in both cases is important. The other importance is the title of those artworks by Donald Judd, like other minimalist contemporary artists. All the work here is titled, untitled. What does it mean, untitled? To me, it is automatically an important question asking to ourselves. We have to face the artwork per se. We have to ponder what are they? That means what is a universe or what is a world this artwork is expressing. And the world of matter or world of reduction. Box of concrete, dull, shiny aluminum panels, period. The minimalist artwork requires the reflective understanding of the viewer. And this is very open question. Whatever we feel, that is the answer, I believe. So to me, that was an important encounter of the materiality which is applicable to my architectural exploration. No figurative, no iconographical message here. Because of clear departure from our everyday figurative world, Donald Judd has revealed the hidden aspect of the world in a very critical way. These works clearly demonstrate the minimalist's way in contacting with the figurative world. I was very intrigued by Donald Judd's works. These two Texas experiences gave me almost like my first architectural realization. And based upon this realization 2 decades ago, I had started my architecture exploration. I'd like to talk a little bit about the timing in these days. It's a time of globalization. It's a time of computers. In these days, things become very virtual. Things lost their certainty. We human beings lost the sense of belongingness. It is not the easy thing at all. The lecture by Jack Herzog a month ago was very good to me. Jack Herzog showed Goethe Museum in Munich, and which is my favorite architecture piece. I wish you could remember. I have slides here. He used that example to explain their early days philosophical development Jack Herzog was talking about their time in 1980s. Now, again, we should ponder why he wanted to start talking about their early days architecture philosophy, particularly today, the year of 2015. I must say, observing the current trend in the year of 2015, we architects must redefine our everyday figurative world at this point. We surely must do care about the certainty, our certainty. In order to pursue our design work, we must be based upon the real core aspect of our home. Otherwise, architecture of our time becomes less cultural and shallow. The situation is like this way. In these days, we have too much easy accessibility to any of our architectural works, strongly helped by computers. People tend to stay in front of their own computers endlessly. This one is very awkward phenomenon. This is not healthy at all. People tend to avoid visiting the site where the building is about to be built. They tend to avoid visiting the site where the building is being built. And they tend to avoid visiting the actual site after the completion of some high-quality architecture piece finish. In these days, we rarely make special trips to watch the real architecture on the real site. We almost lost the certainty of architecture itself. However, architecture in general is located on the individually unique site. Plus, the reality of the actual matter of the building is always significant and fascinating. It cannot be replaceable. Every day we receive architecture news. The new construction of Opera House, new office building that is called Jotikra building at Polytechnic University in Hong Kong, and so on. Look at Dubai, for instance. Think about the enormous amount of the construction in China in the past 10 years. Bill Gates was surprised with one statistics in the last fall. That news covers the cement consumption amount in the past 3 years. It seems to me there are too much construction activity going on every day. Plus, people receive those news so quickly and so easily. Subsequently, we fed up with those everyday news, and perhaps we have been paralyzed in a certain degree. Under this uneasy circumstance, I wish my design work to express to each its own individually acquired and developed themes. Each has its own degree of expression. Each is to demonstrate the developed idea in built matter based upon the awareness of all. Particularly in the stage of construction, we should pay attention to the all in the matter of the building. In architecture, good works never result from man's arrogance. I strongly doubt personalized, expressionistic architecture becomes valuable. What it wants always surpasses what I want. The idea of offering is the one which I am always interested in. Architecture must consciously remind the importance of all. We should carefully sense the quiet voice on the building site. If we start to pay attention, we can sense the provocative emergence of the fundamentals of material and of the site. We must patiently be aware of these. The great offer always autonomously comes to us, receiving the sure inspiration from the site. I would like to proceed in my design work that is what I am looking for. Overall, the issue of architectural tectonics and siting become two major focuses from which my architectural exploration starts. My design work develops its theme through the positive interaction and appropriation with the site and the architectural tectonics. It carefully listens to the quiet voice of the site, as well as through the investigation of architectural tectonics. Ultimately, each project aims at its own inherent place to be. If the executive design work of mine looks as if it has been there from the beginning, this is nothing but my intended goal. The first project of today is a wood structure building, and it's a cow barn in the ski resort near Hokkaido, that's the northern island in Japan. And you can see the ski slope over there, this one. And that ski slope leads to the bottom of this mountain. And this cow barn, before it was built, this kind of very gentle and beautiful landscape, it was only there. So I approached this cow barn design, almost try to find out the site kind of voice. Tries to make the architecture as a marker to make people to sense the presence of the site. And the strategy here is picking up the undulation of that land in front and facilitating that movement, starting this bottom to the other end of the roof. And this picture was shot from high-rise hotel building adjacent side, adjacent side. This is the result of that building from the main approach here. And the landscape behind is a forest, and here is almost like a meadow appearance, very peaceful. And the approach I was talking is this one. And the hotel I was talking is this location. So without this element of the architecture, situation here is just merely the landscape, beautiful scenery, period. But having this piece, maybe something happened for this particular place. In a sense, it's a place making. So this is the starting of the roof structure, and it ends towards that point, providing something underneath. And the side wall is, I used Russian pine tree plywood. So this is a special passage for regular public to look at inside of the cow barn from these windows. So the situation of sudden finish or kind of end of that roof is described like that one is important, and you can see plywood coverage. And the high side is located there. And this is a passage for regular public, and this is a walkway for workers to feed hay to those milking cows. The structure is like this one, wooden structure supported by something missing. Here, other structure. This is a wooden structure supported by this steel beam supported by this upside down V-shaped column, steel column. So that wood trellis starts from this end near the ground, just above the foundation, and beam on top of this beam. This is a construction picture, and this is the starting of the foundation of the wood beam, and this is sitting on top of that steel beam. So this is the result of after the completion, before those curves has moved in. And with window and high side window, this is a sliding door to clean something here. And this is after the cows have moved in. The interesting feature inside is a fully automated milking robot machine here. So those cows that will not have any stress situation, because that milking machine can be operated in 24 hours, even the midnight. So this is a feeding area, and the simple, the interior, the function of this building is very simple. Then, like I said in the beginning, having this approach, the building starts to speak something in this particular place, and place-making project is what I was hearing about this one. The next one is a totally different location. It's in the middle of central part of Tokyo, and in a sense we call high-class residential neighborhood, where lots of embassies located, even Chinese embassies located nearby. And I said high-class residential neighborhood. These are very small houses already, but such as this property. The property I'm designing is this house here, with this tiny property. But here, adjacent property has a big forest in a sense. It's a big mansion. So utilizing that greenery and utilizing the other topographical situation, this street, narrow street, runs bottom of the hill, and this dead end, cul-de-sac street, reach from the bottom and reaching to the top of the hill. And that property here is towards the dead end of this little street. So the frontal facade here is important, and back part is another importance for approaching the design. This is the frontal part. And I'd like to talk about the material use, especially the concrete. I use 4 different kinds of concrete surface. This is a regular concrete surface with plain plywood form. And this is the material of the concrete one. This is the second one. It is a bush hammered finish. After pouring the concrete like this regular one, we could bush hammer the surface and to get rough texture. The third one is this one. It is aggregated concrete. It's a special paper. It's a special plate to have the effect of aggregation just before complete dry situation. And the fourth one is this one. The picture is not so clear, but it's a cedar grain captured concrete. So those 4 different material use of concrete, it's a building which has this kind of formal appearance to the street, yet having a certain scale with a certain aiming of tactility. And this is a sketch showing the situation of trees behind and some frontal kind of gesture to the street. The strategy here is to make this sunken courtyard just before this greenery plus a big cantilever about 3.5 meters here, supported by this side wall. And garage structure here with rooftop balcony for family use. And this is a house for 2 family occupiers. And this is a view from the interior to look at adjacent properties, green like that way, after this sunken coating. And the retaining wall here is also expressed that the cedar grain texture. And this is the staircase leading to the lower floor, that is the basement. And this is the glass box of this one, of the staircase leading to the lower floor, which has three bedrooms with this sunken coating. And this is the detail of the staircase. And the thinness of the slab sticking out from this main body is some elements which I concentrate for the design. It is supported by those solid steel columns. Here, 1, 2, 3 columns, which behaves as a margin for the curtain wall to hold the glass as well. And this is the frontal facade, and that the bush hammered appearance of the surface of the concrete is like this way. And you could see Red Cross main hospital in the central part of Tokyo. And here, I'd like to explain some of the sash details. These are aluminum sash, but it looks like a very thin, skinny sash detail, developed by one architect who I worked with at the Maggie's office. And he is a very good designer for detailing, such as this glass door, for instance. He intentionally sliced this side off. So the glass extends to almost the end position of that wall, that door. Or not the such detail, but the use of the glass. Here I use white glass, which is very transparent. It's different from regular bluish or greenish glass. White glass is expensive, but it's good for to use for this kind of high class. I shouldn't say high class, but kind of residence. So that 3.5 meters overhang above carport here is created by the side wall. One full height of the floor is used as a beam to support the living room floor of this end. And this is the main entry to the upper floor house owner's residence. And here is a garage door, cladded. It is a garage door made of extruded aluminum panel. And it has a butt joint somewhere here. You can't see exactly, but a very thin butt joint. And I said that this one is a two-house residence. And from this entry door, the ground floor for the living room for the tenant use, and basement which holds that the sunken courtyard is for bedrooms for the tenant. And from this main entry, there is a staircase reaching from this position to here, having the ice-top screen, which I will explain later, to get to this living room for the first floor. And second room is for bedrooms and another staircase starting from here to there. This is the two staircases which I just explained. And one staircase here is from the ground floor to the first floor, having this high stop here, just before the living room. And this is another set of staircases from first floor to the second floor, starting from this living room high stop, with a skylight above or corridor space. And both use the concrete wall. Here are the bush hammered, rough textured concrete. Here of cedar grain catch formwork concrete. And plus that the ceiling also I use cedar grain catch concrete form. And this is a top floor corridor space. And here you can see that the cedar grain textured concrete wall with a skylight like that one. And this is the screen I was mentioning as an eye stop at the end of the staircase. And this is the entry to the living room. And you could see the greenery behind the balcony. And this is the screen I was talking. And it has a perforation. And it becomes a certain strong element for the interior design of this house. And this is the screen with that green from the living room. And this is a ceramic, three-dimensional ceramic. The one unit is three kind of protrusion like that one. 1, 2, 3. And it is combined together with this stainless steel pipe. And the result is like that one with this kind of alignment element. 1, 2, 3, alignment element. So this is a kitchen with a family dining or a computer desk with family lounge there. And from the window of the bedroom, you could see that the greenery at the adjacent side. The third project is another concrete house. It's a single-family house located in the suburbs in Tokyo. It's a small house, but conspicuous element is this one. This direction is a western facing facade, having a living room behind here as a double height. Maybe this screen element is one element which I have concept. And this is a picture, same angle as the sketch. And this is the one I was talking about the screen to protect direct exposure to the western harsh sunlight, particularly in the summertime. So here is the box of the concrete. Again, I apply the cedar grain texture formula. And this is the cedar grain texture formwork above, and lower portion I used aggregated concrete with stripe, recessed stripe like that. And on the end situation of the louver, it is a holding element as a concrete or plain wall, yet some of the detail is like that one. Some of the detail is like that one. And this is the view of the northern part, northern street side, and this is the southern garden. And having a car park underneath like that one, or car park underneath like that one, with a hole on this freestanding wall of that one as a hole, and this one it's not clearly seen, but it's a hole. And I will show one image here around this entry door next. This is the canopy of the entry door. It's a perforated aluminum mesh for the waist-high wall for the balcony. And this one is just cedar grain textured concrete. And this is window for the master bedroom. This is interior. I said it's double height dining space. This one is the other side of the room. And here you could see the roof. This is the picture showing the corner of traditional Japanese tatami room with mud plastering work like that one. Yet I applied some modern material like frost mirror glass on top of plywood as a sliding door. Here is a guide. And here I applied special paint on top of plain aluminum. That special paint is used for automobile. We call pearl mica. Some powder of pearl is included. And it's a really beautiful painting. This picture doesn't show exactly. So this is the detail of the staircase with powder. It's called important powder. The fourth project is public building. We finished our working plan, but the construction work hasn't started yet. It's a public building located in the near the train station, and this street used to be a important commercial street at the central part of this small city in a CUHK prefecture. And that population size of this town or city is about 20,000 people are residing. But because of the automobilization, people go for shopping in the roadside of a big shopping mall. And this central park used to have a lot of bus service and people are moving back and forth, and it's a very crowded place, commercial area. But these days, only shutters front for those old shops is visible, and not much people are moving. And subsequently, many lots are occupied as a car park here, there, or here. So the city decided to build some community center here. The site configuration is very irregular, and with stream in front, and this is the side to the city hall. This is the main street to the station here. This is a facade design. You could see stream, and basically a glass facade, the direction towards the station. Very plain facade. And ground floor has shops and foyer, public space with coffee shop. It's basically the contents of this ground floor. The second floor has a meeting space. And the conspicuous element of this one is this glass-covered wall and roof. And here is another coverage of the roof to contain the main public space underneath. Here are the corner plaza. Here are the main plaza for weekend farmers market. So the strategy of this one is almost like an open palm situation. Open palm as a configuration is very interesting. This side becomes formal appearance. The other side here becomes very bright. And in this case, this is the open palm configuration facing the frontal side towards the main street, and back part to hold some private, intimate space with single trees here. Cafeteria is facing to that direction. So this is the open palm configuration of the main body, and with glass elements like extending the two wings, this side and the other side. So structurally, that sticking out element is holding element of the beam to hold this frontal part and back part. And this is a structural element I was talking, supported by this additional bracket. So roofing here and the other roofing is two elements which is conspicuous, and towards the stream or towards the main street to the station, some gesture of positioning of this building. It's one thing. I put some energy to develop. So this is that gap situation of V-shape, glass screen, and main body. And this one is a steel structure public building. And steel structure. This project of today is an international student dormitory at the CUHK University. I used to work here. My office is located somewhere here. And this is the main campus, which has orthogonal system as a grid, and on top of the hill. And that building, which I designed, is an international student dormitory with 30 room, bedroom. It's located here. This one is a building which I designed. The difficulty of that siting is two things. One, that is kind of mitigation of the grid iron system here to dominate this entire campus, ending this particular building, which has a classroom. And this area is used as a dormitory area for students plus staff housing. Because of kind of cliff situation on both sides, this is a very large hilltop plain location, actually approached from this main road with auditorium here. Anyway, around here, here's a cliff to this bottom part, which has a baseball field, and another cliff starting from this location toward that. So the location here has a cliff to that side and the other cliff to this side. Then I introduced almost like a third angle responding to this existing grid iron angle. It cannot be visible here, but along this facade. And the next one is the existing angle of the dormitory area. But here I introduced the third angle. And this is a view of the cliff side to look at the baseball field. Even from this rooftop, actually it's a second floor roof balcony, we could see the greenery. Again, I used the configuration of open palm situation to hold, open palm is like this way, to hold 29 students' bedrooms. So this one is a ground floor situation. This is a final classroom building following the main grid. And this is the adjacent building following the other grid, which I said second. And this is the third angle I introduced. So open farm situation to hold 29 bedrooms here. And the private part here is allocated as a main dining space with this double height glass screen to overlooking at this street. And this part is the kitchen area. And here you could see dotted line. Above the kitchen, there is a laundry and shower room for students. This is the interior view of the main dining space. Here, I thought, nice to introduce some notion of the response to the program. This is a building for international students who spend at least 4 years for undergraduate education, maybe plus 2 or 4 years for graduate school. So those students, international students, continuously stay in this dormitory. I thought nice to have a certain, say, core of the building and some memorable kind of element to hold people's memory. Maybe this is the dining table here. So this appearance, I intentionally designed a little bit formal appearance, and maybe plus some sense of the serenity, some tranquil, quiet space for them to think about something is intention related to the program. So this part is exposed concrete wall, but here plaster wall, and here are the bridge and skylight like that. And around here there is a double height screen, glass screen to introduce the light. And the end of the corridor, there is other opening, has a big glass window. Then one element which is conspicuous is this bridge appearance. And that bridge has depth only the central part of the bridge. And the edge of this side and the other side I made very skinny. And because of that situation, there is a round shape starting from here to there at the sill of this bridge appearance. Again, I used cedar grain texture concrete here. And this part is introducing light coming down, and I used series of recessed patterns, vertically recessed element of the exposed concrete. This is the bridge I was talking, and connecting this corridor space to this laundry or shower room with the skylight. And this is a corridor space on the first floor, and that is a bridge. And this is the concrete hanging wall to allow the light penetrate, kind of to introduce or support of the hanging lighting fixture. So this is a lighting fixture with the glass screens. And this is the element of which I have been talking, and with bridge. This is the one I was talking. You barely see some steel wider, stainless wider, supporting lighting fixture like diagonally like that. Anyway, this is a picture taken by, at the bridge from this second floor living room, second floor corridor space. After this entry door, there is a room like this one. And this wall, one side is exposed concrete wall. Actually, the construction of this particular building has been done very nicely. That the team of the site responsible person received in-house award because of the nice quality of the construction. And this is the exterior concrete surface. Again, cedar grain textured wall, such as a detail like this corner, but the detail like this corner. It's a very straight line, and it's not easy for side-poured concrete, but they have done quite good work. And this one is the last project today. It's a guest house for a small private company. It is a small company, then the owner of the company use this one as a private, this guest house as a private house. The function of this guest house is not complex, very simple. It's just a place to host guests. Then I thought it's quite interesting to introduce some generic logic towards the formal development of this particular architecture. So I happen to read around this moment the 4 elements of architecture written by Gottfried Zemper. Zemper is a 19th century architect, active in Dresden or Vienna. But that book of 4 elements is very interesting, very applicable in his days as well. He describes 4 elements. The first element is a foundation or base. In this case, I thought this particular bush hammer concrete part behaved as a base. The second element, that is hearth. And for this guest house, the hearth could be a kitchen area, which is flooded by this aluminum panel, inserted underneath of this concrete beam. And the third element is enclosure. That in this case is a roof made of steel, supported by this concrete beam. And the fourth element, according to Zemper, is a screen. Here, some screen element, plus some glass curtain. I will talk later. But that base, foundation, is one thing I intentionally created here. This is a garage structure. On top of the garage, there is a landscape area with trees. Right next to this upper floor, guest living room facility. So this is a rooftop balcony on top of the garage structure, right next to this guest living room. And here, there is the main entry to this guest house. Or right next to this glass window, there's a little patio here. I call front patio. And behind this entry position, there's a courtyard space surrounded by this property boundary wall, L-shaped property boundary. And this is a picture showing the courtyard situation with entry point somewhere here. And that long beam, which supports the roof structure, which is made of steel, is supported by the first wall and these 3 columns. And it has an insertion of this element of the hearth, that is the kitchen, and covered by, cladded by aluminum panel. So this is a hearth element, kitchen, cladded by aluminum panel, and 3 columns to support very long beam in order to support the roof structure above. And this is a dining room, right next to this main courtyard. So this is a diagram which I have been explaining. Here's the site. and putting that podium or a base or foundation here as the first element. And the second element, according to Zempa, is a horse, some central element of the architecture. In this case, the kitchen. And the third element is enclosure or coverage that is supported by this beam. So, as a diagram-wise, the first element, and that is the second element, the third element as a fourth, and in order to hold or to support the roof, I introduced other L-shaped elements for the concrete wall here, was other element like this concrete walls. And that L-shaped wall along the property boundary generates that courtyard space here. So this is a computer drawing to show that situation. Here, on top of the garage, I can use as a landscape or terrace or garden. Right next to the upper floor guest room. And this is the main entry there. This is the inserted element of the hearth underneath of this long beam. That long beam is supported by two elements. One element is this wall, the other element is three columns like that one. And courtyard space, which is main one, and very small patio space as a frontal one, as an introduction to this approach, and back patio as well. And hall to provide light for this frontal patio, or cutout to provide light for back patio. So this is a picture of the interior, and showing this main element as a hearth. Again, I used exposed concrete, cedar grain texture, exposed concrete for this kitchen box. And this one is a window to look at the back patio. And here is a tempered staircase reaching to the dining space. Here is the aluminum panel. And here, it's not easy to figure out, but it's a terrazzo, polished kind of on-site terrazzo. And this is the element of which I have been talking as a part of the kitchen, expressing exposed concrete with cedar tree grain. And this is a staircase made of tempered glass to look at the back patio exactly. So this is a view from the dining space. You can see the edge of the dining table to the main courtyard. That the three columns here is almost like an anchoring element to this particular site, and even from the interior view. And this is the back patio. I said this cutout allows the light comes in to this back patio with a glass window adjacent to that tempered glass staircase. And this is the frontal little patio with a round hole to provide the lighting right next to this guest room. So this is a kind of overall configuration. So such as the detailing of this handrail, like this angle one, is the one thing to announce that the approach has a slope situation reaching to this position. Anyway, this is actually the last picture which I present today. But towards the end, I'd like to say, as shown above, my design work tries to demonstrate my interest in capturing fleeting quality of reality I try to make my design supple and simple, and rigor always stays, yet at the same time, nuances or flavors are regarded as some important characteristics of my work, or activity is the other quality I look for, such as the use of the concrete wall, for instance. But in those cases, the concrete wall is treated as an abstract element to hold some special sequence, special movement, and only the element to define the space. And space is important for Tadawando's case. My case, the materiality of the concrete wall itself is important. Utilizing the materiality of concrete, I want to give life to those concrete walls as well. The other way of explaining my design work, regarding to the optimization, which typifies the concept of the modernism, I dare not to go in. I have a tendency to approach things with the notion of pluralism. I first try to digest the requirement of each project as much as possible. I do not like the notion of the too much degree of purification. I am not interested in pursuing the universality in a sense. Rather, I am more interested in making my design work in place. It is a continuous effort to make my architecture site-specific and program-specific, getting along nicely with the site context and with the given conditions. I expect the emergence of my architecture to demonstrate some unseen, inherent characteristics of the site and of the matter of building. Thank you very much for your attention.